I'm gonna. All right, guys. So welcome and thank you so much for coming here today. We are, I don't know why it's doing that, but it's okay. We're here to help you understand what the college process takes, and all of you that are eager to go to very good schools, there's certain criteria, certain things that you have to follow in order to even be eligible to apply for these schools. I have Allison Liebman here today. She's an
Hello.
expert
How are you?
in, just introduce what you do.
I'm an independent educational consultant. I'm a college advisor and a former high school English teacher. And what am I an expert in? I guess colleges, everything about colleges and writing and preparing for college and applications, admissions, and all that fun stuff.
Yes, and this is why I really wanted Allison to come today and give us all that preview. So I want to start with the basics. When we send our kids to a high school, what do we know about a high school in the process of what's important? Because we all want our kids to go to college eventually, right? So what's the goal? What are we doing for their success? What do we expect them to have? Come on, ladies,
Grades.
moms. Grades, right? Grades are pretty much important. Is that all that's important when you send your kids to a high school? What other things you know is very important for them to be even in the path of college? Extracurricular activities? Say it again?
Sports, art.
Sports. So anything besides grades, right? Grades is one aspect. But as you'll hear from Allison in a few minutes, grades is not everything. It's a significant thing, but it's not everything, right?
Grades gets you at the doorstep. It gets you there, but you want to be ringing the doorbell.
Yeah. So I'm going to start with the grades portion, and your grades portion are really your exams, your regents, your SAT, and whatever you're doing at the school, which is what Exceed Learning Center is for. But once you got your grades and you got to even a high GPA, what else do you need to show at a college? What else do they want to see?
They want to see the ones, because you want to know, you want to differentiate yourself from everyone else. Because the fact is, if you're applying to very competitive schools, and there's something called grade inflation, which has been a very big topic of conversation in the last few years since COVID. And admissions officers are well aware of that. And they'll say, you know, everyone has 4.0, everyone has a 4.3, everyone has, it used to be, I mean, when we went to college, I remember that if someone got a perfect score on their SAT, it was on the news. Now, all the time, I mean, I have kids coming to me all the time. They have one question away from a perfect score. And they work so hard to get to that, those one or two last questions to get the perfect score. So a lot of kids have that in place. That gets you to the table, basically. So what you want to focus on, as early as possible, is how you can be unique. How you can be unique and how you can stand out from everyone else who basically has terrific scores and terrific GPA. So of course, that's very important. And I'm not going to say that the grades are not important or that the test scores aren't important, but that's what's important for the first round. If you want to get past the first round, you have to grab their attention. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight.
So before we start, I just wanted to bring something to your attention. I think you heard GPA 4.0, 4.3. How do we get to 4.3? What is 4.3? You know what that is?
Sharon knows. She just asked me about it. What is that called? 28? Yeah.
Yeah. So when you have a grade, and I think a lot of colleges stopped doing it, they used to do it. When you have a grade of an A, it's a GPA of 4.0. When you have a A plus, that becomes 4.3.
Right, and it depends on the school. We were talking about
That's
school
right.
profiles.
Exactly.
Every school is different.
So when we see a student who fights for the A plus, there's a reason for it. It's not just the standard A because you have an average of 92.5. It's an A plus because you have now an average of 96.5. And that's very important if you are looking at that additional grade inflation, right? Additional points that really give you a lot of score. So how do you do that? How do you master to get those grades? Obviously, you don't wait for the Regents, because the Regents is just one portion of your grade. Yes, it's significant. Yes, it has a percent value for most schools. They have incorporated the Regent grade into your college grade, but it's not the whole thing. It's your progress and everything you do throughout the year. Another thing that's important is obviously your SAT. When do you take the SAT? What grade are you? 11th grade. So 11th grade is probably the ideal time to take it, although 12th grade is still okay, as long as you do it in the summer. How many times can you take it?
20 times.
Nope. 3 times. It is limited to 3 times. So when you do the first time is a PSAT, it's a practice SAT, which that doesn't count, but I always encourage students to take it because it gives you the threshold of where you are. When I see a student for SAT, I want to know, what am I teaching them? What is it that they don't know that I can help them improve in? If they just come without actually taking the PSAT, without actually practicing or looking at the bigger picture, because SAT includes reading, writing, algebra, geometry, algebra tutoring, a little bit of a portion of that. And that's usually, you're not done with that until 11th grade. Right? So the best ideal time is between end of 11th grade, beginning of 12th grade. I always recommend that, but don't forget that you can only take it 3 times. A lot of parents come to me with 10th graders. We want our child to take it today. What's the point? Your child doesn't really know geometry yet. You're going to spend a lot more time practicing this when it doesn't really give you that value, where you can just do it in the summer. Okay, so what's the perfect score for the SAT? Which means you need about 800 for English and 800 for math. Not that easy. To get the perfect score, lots and lots of practice. Is it doable? Absolutely. I have students who got 1450, 1500. It all depends on what it is that you're giving. And what do you have to give? Time. You have to give your time, right?
That was a good answer.
SAT, Regents.
Do your best.
Yeah, SAT, Regents, everything that has to do with grades, you're giving your time. You're investing the time to study. So us as parents, how do we help our children to devote that time? Obviously, I'm here to speak about my Regents prep as well, the Regents prep, the SAT prep that we have. Not everyone working well with groups, so private for some students work better. I have students that would prefer to take 5 to 10 lessons privately, where in the group it's 40 hours and they don't need those 40 hours. So privately might make more sense, but it's still time. A tutor is not a magician. We don't have a magic wand, focus, and that's it, and you got it. You still have to go take the time, practice, do the exams, and it really all depends which schools you want to go. So the very first thing before you even apply, before you even reach to Allison, you have to know what you want. What is it that you want to apply, right?
Well,
Which
no,
school?
well, yeah,
Which
but I help with a
profession?
college list that you're not doing
Not the
research with
specific college, but I'm
Oh.
saying specific path that you want to, do you want to go to medical school? Do you want to, like, unless
No,
I'm wrong, and
No, it depends. It depends on the student. Some students come to me and they say, this is what I've been doing, and it's clear that they are a STEM kid. They've done research. They've taken a lot of time. That's been their interest. Some kids come to me and they don't know what they want to do, and that's okay. And we do a lot of we do Sparketype, which it's really fun. I love doing it for myself. It came out so accurately. It's a career assessment. And we have 16 personalities, all these different, metrics, and so that they can kids say, oh, wow, that is me. And it kind of helps them to reflect. But we do a lot of that, and you'll see in my presentation, I have some suggestions for career choice, but it's okay to not know exactly what you want to do. That's part of, that's one piece of it is learning about what you might want to do. But there are kids who they are very set on what they want to do. Very often the STEM kids.
Like my daughter, right? Wants to be a surgeon, she doesn't know,
Yeah.
doesn't want to hear
Yeah.
about anything else, that's all she wants. So to have a target, that's good. To prepare, how many regions do you need? Like, do you guys know what it is that you need before you even get the Regents diploma?
Yeah, and their classes also, scheduling is very important.
Yeah, schedule
So,
is
you know,
absolutely.
sometimes I'll have a family come and they'll say, you know, it's the end of 11th grade and they want to be a business, they want to go to business school. Business schools, engineering, very competitive. Nursing, there are a few schools that are very competitive, a few majors. And did you ever take calculus? No, you never took calculus. Okay, they're not going to read your application for business if you didn't take calculus. But now it's too late. Okay, well, there's a remedy for that. Sometimes, you know, you could do dual enrollment, you could take a course at a college, but the point is, you want to, again, back to that course rigor, you want to make sure that you're on the path to take the courses that are the most challenging and that are going to fill the requirements, as Olga was talking about, the sequence.
Yeah, and this is really why we wanted you to be here with your teenagers, because I think it helps that they hear the path that it takes. A lot of times we as parents want our kids to do the extracurricular activities. We want our kids to just take certain classes. They don't listen because they don't understand the meaning and the importance of that. So by hearing this, and please ask questions, ladies, if you have specific questions that pertain to what you want to do, these are the real important individuals here that can help you with that. Morning. One of the fathers.
Hi, how are you?
Please have a seat.
Olga, do you want me to put this
So
on
yes,
the
you can
screen?
definitely share your screen, please. We're gonna talk about college admission. And if you have any questions, feel free to please ask and participate and
So-
just share your screen, Allison.
I have to close this to share it, I think.
Go to your. It's a full screen. Where's your screen?
I have so many things open. Is that my Zoom or your Zoom? Wait, I'm on your Zoom now, right?
Yeah, but you still need to go.
I went into this. This is where I went into it.
Yeah, right here. So then you do.
I'll just reshare screen.
Mhm. Yeah, double click on this and then
Okay.
change the tab. Change the tab.
I can't move this. Okay. Thank you. And then we'll go to full screen.
All
There we
right, so
go.
you will see
Okay.
that. Beautiful.
Okay, great. Okay. I don't need to stand over there.
You don't
More-
need to.
more casual.
It's convenient
Yeah,
for
okay.
you.
Okay, so let me just go to the next slide.
Let me mute myself so you can unmute yourself, so the sound is better. Okay.
No, I will. I'm not
Okay.
sure.
It's okay, put it closer. That's it.
So that they can hear me.
So they can
Okay,
hear you
okay.
well, because they hear you, but the stream, not sure how they can.
I mean,
It's
I can
okay.
put it
You're good.
online if you want. We're okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so why is college admissions more competitive than ever before? We were saying earlier that it's changed a lot since we applied to college. And there are many reasons for that. One of them is the Common App. I don't know if any of you remember. Oh, you did? Okay, good. That's great. I don't know if any of you remember when you applied for college, we would write it on paper. We filled out paper applications. We sent to each school individually, right? And then we would wait. If you got in, you got the fat envelope in the mail, because that would have all the material, and a rejection letter was in a thin flat envelope. So now we have the Common App, and on the Common App, you just can apply to every school. You can apply to up to 20 schools on the Common App. And it's very easy to apply to a lot of schools. So kids are applying to more and more schools. That was the first thing. Then we had COVID and we had test optional. And once we had test optional and all of these very, very competitive schools that were not requiring test scores, kids were saying, oh, wow, I may as well apply. You know what? I don't have to submit scores. Maybe I'll apply to Harvard. Maybe I'll apply to here. Maybe I'll apply there. So they're applying to typically double the amount of schools that they used to. And the application rates, the acceptance rates are going down because the applications are going up. They're getting more and more and more applications. And you might hear stories. I mean, UT Austin, very popular school. They take a lot of their freshman class from in-state, because if you live in the state of Texas and you have a certain GPA and certain scores, you're automatically in. So out of state, very, very difficult to get in. They had so many applications this year that on the day that the early action decision was supposed to be announced, they announced, we don't have the decision. We don't have any decisions. We didn't make any decisions. And now they put it off until the 15th, until February 15th. So you hear there are a lot of stories like that. And we don't know exactly what's going on behind the admissions desk, but we do know that they are overwhelmed with applications. And we talked about grade inflation already. And so that's why it's really important that you stand out. And again, some of this is what we talked about before. So does everyone have perfect GPAs and test scores? Not everyone, but all the people that you are competing with at the level that you're at, once you get past the first round, yes, they all have very good test scores and they all have very good GPA. Now, if you have a 3.8, let's say, that's okay. Kids get into Ivy Leagues with a 3.8, maybe not that many, but you might have something else to offer. They're great. They're looking at your application holistically. They're looking at the entire application. They want to see that you are someone who cares about the world, that you want to give back to the world, that you're not just, scrolling on your phone all day and only social. They want kids who are leaders, who have showed leadership. They want to see that you have an authentic profile. So if you don't know what you want to do, that's okay, but know what you're interested in. Know what you want to explore. And basically, I don't want to skip ahead too much, but you'll see on one of the slides coming up, we talk about choosing extracurriculars that are different. Anyone can go down the hall after 9th period, 8th period, and sign up for a club and go to a club, right? These clubs many of them have been in your school for years and years and years. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't. I think it's important to be part of school clubs and athletics. But what can you do if you want to have a competitive profile? You should start thinking about what you can do that has not been done before. You want to have impact. They want to see that you have measurable impact. What did you leave a legacy behind at your school? Did you start something, an organization or a tradition or a fundraiser that was not there before you were there, that is going to carry on after you're gone? They're thinking, do I want this kid on my campus? What are you going to do for us? That's what they're thinking. Okay. So you want to focus on community engagement. Again, caring about the world, showing that you give back. Really, really important. And taking challenging classes, fostering mentorships. So you want to, first of all, do you girls know your guidance counselor? Yeah, do they know who you are? Okay. So your guidance counselor is one of the people who will be writing your letters of recommendation. Your letters of recommendation are pretty important because they want usually two from two teachers, two different subjects, usually core subjects, and one from your guidance counselor. So make sure that you are already thinking about what teachers you are going to ask to write those letters of recommendation. And foster relationships with them, make sure that they know who you are. And think about what kind of impression you're making in the classroom. What are they going to say about you in those recommendation letters? And that's something you should be thinking about now. Demonstrated interest.
I have a question.
Yeah.
On recommendation letters, is that only exclusive for in school? Or can you gain recommendation letters
That's a
outside
good
of school?
question. So some schools will allow you to have an out of school recommendation letter. Some of them will say. Some of them will say that you can, but some of them will say it's only two. And no more, it's only two from the teachers and one from guidance, and that's it. We won't look at any others. Sometimes if you get deferred from school or waitlisted, they'll give you an opportunity that you can submit an additional recommendation letter. Yeah. Personally, I think that you should be able to have one from outside of school, because a lot of these guidance counselors, they have 200 kids, 300 kids, and they don't even know their kids sometimes. They don't know them that well. So, I personally, I think, I have a lot of thoughts on that. I just met an admissions officer last week who told me that they didn't read any of the letters of recommendation this year because they were all written by ChatGPT.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What a shame.
I know. And that was the first I've heard of that this year, so,
I'm sure there's gonna be more of that.
yeah,
Well, ChatGPT is a whole discussion.
Yeah, that's another whole
about it. It's
discussion,
a whole
yeah.
discussion. I think ChatGPT is a great way to start putting
Mhm.
things on paper. But unfortunately, a lot of people use it as the only way
Right.
to put things on paper.
Right.
It could be a great prompt, it could be a great initial kind of thinking
Yeah.
process. And there are a lot of prompts that you can learn to use ChatGPT. I think ChatGPT is
I think
great.
it's great, I think it's great.
It's amazing.
It's an amazing education tool.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
If you use it correctly.
if you know how, but it came on so quickly that the education system wasn't prepared for it. And
And it's being abused. I really
Yeah.
do think it's being
Yeah.
abused in many ways because people are just not thinking how to use it
Yeah.
correctly.
And the trickle down effect is really sad too, because a lot of English teachers are not assigning writing because they don't want to just get chat GPT. But
Wow.
I always say to my students, if they give me anything, a rough draft of an essay or anything, so this sounds very chatty. I said, how do you know? I don't know. I know the top 5 words that that ChatGPT uses. So and there they are, right?
Yeah, they're all, and I am as a college professor, I can tell you.
Yeah,
when
you can
people
look in 2
write,
seconds.
I
Yeah.
really do know, and there's a way to check. You can actually copy paste onto the ChatGPT and
Here's the
it'll tell you.
thing, and this is I'm gonna say one thing about ChatGPT and then I'll move on, but some colleges that there was talk that they were running the essays through ChatGPT, through a detector, and maybe they do, maybe they don't. Here's the thing, they have so many qualified applicants. These schools can fill their class 2 and 3 times with qualified applicants.
Absolutely.
Number one, if you don't get in, it's not because you're not qualified or they didn't want you. It's just, you made reservations at 388 and so did, 20 other people, and they have a table. So all the other people who didn't make reservations, they're not going to have a table there because they can't fit 500,000 people in 388 for dinner, right? So that's number one. And the other thing is, what was the point I was making about ChatGPT?
They didn't read the applications.
Yeah, that they didn't read the applications, but there was something else also about, what were we saying? I forgot. I'll come back to it.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. So my point was that if it doesn't matter, they don't need to put it into a checker, because if they look at your essay and they even think that it might have been written not by you, then they're not going to read it and they're just not going to look at the rest of your application.
Yep.
So, it's
Writing is so important.
it's so important.
Unfortunately, it's not enforced anymore in schools. They don't do the writing anymore. And as a tutor, I'm sure you can say that when students come to do a writing, they don't even know how to start. They don't know what the
No, they don't-
requirements of
yeah,
an
they
essay
don't-
is, the
yeah.
body, the paragraph, how you start, how you put the introduction, how you put the
Yeah.
conclusion. There's so much confusion because they
Yeah.
don't do it.
And the college essay is not really an essay. It's really, it's a story, it's a narrative, it's a personal narrative, and they want to be entertained,
Yeah.
the admissions officers. They don't want to read the same things over and over and over again. So just a quick note on extracurriculars. Again, you know, you want to choose meaningful activities. I caution you against passion projects. Passion projects are a wonderful thing, but the idea of a passion project and the term passion, first of all, I don't let anybody use the word passion in any of their essays because it's just a very overused word. But projects, yes. And should you be passionate about your endeavors and your interests? Yes. But let me just tell you the difference between two different projects that I've seen personally, okay? I had one student who was applying to fairly competitive schools, University of Michigan and University of Wisconsin. And he did a passion project. It was lovely. His grandmother had passed away, and it was he was selling bracelets for he was raising money for the cause for cancer or stomach cancer. I don't remember exactly what it was. When you looked at the project, and he wrote one of his essays about it. When you looked at it, he had the website was created by a professional team. He had lawyers who did all of the copywriting for it. And it was lovely. At the same time, I had another student who she did a project, and hers was also a nonprofit, but it was a branch from a larger nonprofit. It was called Life's Angels, and she started Life's Angels Kids. She started a branch from this nonprofit, and she decided to help kids go to summer camp to raise money for kids to go to summer camp who wouldn't be able to go to summer camp. Her website was clearly made with a high school student. She had photographs on there of her with the campers, of her filling out camp applications and translating into Spanish and helping the parents. It was so real. It was not polished like the other student. And again, his project was lovely. She's at Duke right now. And my point is that everything doesn't have to be polished and perfect. It has to be authentic. It has to be real. And it has to, if you put your energy into the things that you care about. Yeah.
Like the science fair
Yeah.
projects, to see where the parents really did.
Yeah, right. And they don't, this is my favorite, one of the admissions officers said to me. He puts a label, MDI, mommy did it.
I love it.
In his notes, MDI, mommy did it. So it's very hard as parents to know when to, take a step back. And, that's one of the things that I do when I work with families is trying to kind of manage everybody's place. But really do what you love, do what you care about, explore things, think out of the box, and really just be who you want to be, and don't try to be something. Don't do a passion project because you think you should. Do something because it interests you, or keep your eyes open to possibilities that might interest you, and do things that haven't been done before. Also, you want to really focus on what college is the best fit, not necessarily the best college you could get into. I know someone who went to Cornell. She had a wonderful experience there. She's a very successful woman. She didn't love college though. She didn't have a great time. She had to work very, very hard. It was a little bit challenging for her academically. It was expensive, so she worked while she was going to school. She did work study, and she didn't have that college experience. She now looking back, she says she wishes she went to a small liberal arts college. So really, you want to go to a school that is the best fit for you academically, financially, and socially. Because really, the social piece is pretty important as well, because there's so much growth that goes on at college. And you can't really see my little quote there, so I'm gonna move my picture away. Oh, my picture's not moving on
It's
there.
mine.
Oh, okay.
It's because
But my little note says, where you go is less important than what you do while you're there. And that's really important. And you can think of it that way for high school as well, because it's what you're doing. It's not just being there or having, you know, the name of a school. It's what you make of it. You can take a big school and make it small by communicating with your professors, by becoming involved, by joining clubs, same thing like in high school.
Sure.
Not fast forward. It stopped.
No.
Thank you. College list, very important that you have a balance list that you have. I don't like to call them safeties. I think that that's a negative connotation. But it's very important that you have schools that you're more likely to get into, and then some target schools, and then also what we call reach schools. And then we have a new category now called super reach. Yeah. So you can apply up to 20 on the Common App. I don't suggest applying to 20. Some kids do. Some kids, not my students, but I know I've heard kids, they kind of beat the system by applying to more than 20. So they put 20 on their Common App, and then some schools you can apply through the school's website. I think it gets, I think that gets a little bit out of hand. 20 is a lot. I think
20.
Yeah, I think 15. Yeah.
If you work it correctly,
Yeah.
right, if you work it correctly and you do the right choices and you
Yeah.
filter through what it is that you really want to do, you don't need to apply for 20.
No.
Target 4 or
we
5,
start,
make them, make them
usually
strong.
start with a list of 20 and narrow it down.
I think if you
No,
go 20s because you're just looking for a chance of being accepted to
But
any.
that doesn't, but that doesn't
Right?
really make a
No,
difference.
so I
It doesn't
feel
make
like
it-
if you
You have to
your-
have a smart list,
Yeah.
not a big
And if
list.
you have a smart list with a strong application with a good essay, then you don't need a list of 20 options.
Like a conference or something, and they were gonna make me have to do a college list, but like it had like, I don't know, 5 rows of, like it had like 15, 20 places to put in colleges.
Mhm.
And I don't know if I felt like excessive, I don't know what to put each.
Yeah, well, if you haven't done any research yet, or you haven't really been exposed, it's like they just handed you a piece of paper and said, put in the 20 colleges you want to go to, sort of. Well, where was this?
I didn't fill out yet, just online.
Oh, it's online, okay. Oh, you're talking about on the Common App?
Yeah, I mean, not on the, I have to fill out some.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Just
because they
general.
want to, it's a general form,
I
they
think
want to
it's just
see
general.
what you're starting to think about, and it's probably for your guidance meeting, so your guidance counselor has an idea of what colleges you're thinking about, but I will, at the end of the presentation, you'll see on the last page, I have a lot of college search tools I can give you. And another thing I do with my students is I teach you how to do the research also. There are so many great resources now, and so many free resources online, and you can really get lost. I mean, it's fun. You can first of all, if you go on YouTube and you type in, just use your daughter as an example, a day in the life of a dancer and the school, you'll probably find YouTube videos with students who made videos, and that's a real, candid view right into the school and right into that
That's
student's
amazing.
day. So you can, and then there are tons of platforms. There's College Reels. I'll give you some of the platforms. So college essays, your main Common App personal statement, that's the main essay. The same one goes to all the schools on the Common App. Then there's something called supplements. Do you know what they are? No? the supplements are college-specific essays, so those are prompts for individual colleges. And that's where this starts to get to be a big project, because you have your main essay, but then colleges, some of them have 2 or 3 essays, just on their own, and those are not really afterthoughts. Those are important to those colleges because they made those questions. They want to know the answers to those questions. And there are a few different typical types of supplemental essays. One is, why this college? So tell me, why do you want to come here? Why do you want to come to Michigan? Why this major? Why this major at this college? It's another one. A lot of schools will ask you to write about your most meaningful extracurricular. So if you don't have one baby that was, something very dear to your heart throughout high school, or at least just in the last year or two, because they really care mostly about 10th and 11th grade.
Like a elective? Or
It could be, so extracurricular, you have an activities list. It's kind of like a resume on the Common App. And it has 10 spots. What was the question you asked me?
Is it like electives, or like something after school?
Okay.
Something you do?
Anything that you do outside of school is considered extracurricular. If you take care of your grandma who lives with you, who's sick, so that your mom can work, and you come home from school 3 days a week to take care of that family responsibility, that goes on your activities list. They want to know that. Anything that you do outside of school, it could be a job, which they also really like that. They like to see that you have experience in the real world, and that you're willing to work. And just absolutely anything that any volunteer work, anything that's after school, that's part of the school, anything outside of school, it could be youth group, it could be anything that you do that's not in the classroom. It's considered an extracurricular. And it can be something that is just something that you do on your own. I mean, I've had kids for their activities write about one girl, she was a bookworm. And for one of her activities, she said, I spend 20 hours a week reading. Well, that's important. That describes you. That's a part of you. I know everyone in this room spends at least 20 hours a week reading. Come on.
I think it also ties into not just why this college, but also why you basically want to present your own self to be selected out of this crowd of applications. You got to scream that you are the best through your writing, through your
or not
activities.
Not even that you're the best, but that you're interesting, that you have something to offer.
Yeah.
Okay, I am going to forward. Okay. So it's really important that on your application you have a story. So your entire application tells a story. And so we've talked about the main essay, the supplements, right? The activities list. We talked about high school courses. We talked about letters of recommendation. And we talked about majors. We hit on all those. So all of those things make up your application, right? You have the list of activities with the descriptions, you have your letters of recommendation, you have your essay, you're answering the prompts from each college, and that all together creates one story. I try to make sure that the dots connect. What do I mean by that? Well, if you are, let's say you want to go into education and you want to be a teacher. So you took some classes that reflect that. Maybe you babysat, maybe you volunteered at the Y and taught classes to younger kids. Maybe you're interested in going into STEM, then hopefully you have things in your extracurriculars and in your class, in your core subject that reflect that, so that the whole application becomes authentic. Because if you have an application where, this kid is applying as an engineering student, but hasn't taken any AP science classes, they're gonna go, what? So to make it authentic, I think the best way to make an authentic application is to be authentic. to really do the things that you like to do and take the courses that you like to do and challenge yourself and stay focused, and it all sort of comes together. Oh, demonstrated interest. This is something you girls can start working on now. You said you went to a college fair. Tamara,
Yeah,
you said you went to a college fair, right?
oh, yeah.
Yeah. So when you go to these college fairs, make sure you introduce yourself to the person behind the desks at the tables at these that are representing the different colleges. And follow up with an email, reach out to the rep.
I'm
Hi,
sure they know you.
yeah, they should know, believe it or not, your rep for your regional admissions rep, they should know your name by the time your application gets there. They should know who you are. You should be familiar to them because you should have been, I'm sorry, you should have been developing a connection with them all along. And that's something that you can start doing now. You can reach out to them, you can ask them questions, you can, tell them that you really liked meeting them and remind them of something that you spoke about. Ask them a question about a program that you're interested in. Don't annoy them, but you can connect with them. So you can meet them at college fairs. There's actually a fair coming up. But you can also reach out to them even if you haven't met them. And just tell them that you're interested. Tell them that, introduce yourself. This is my high school that I go to. Are you, I understand that you're the rep for Nassau County. Is my school, will you be visiting my school anytime soon? That's it. It could just
Again,
be 3
it's-
lines.
Again, it makes you stand out.
Yeah.
You really want to be this whole workshop is to show you how you can put your foot forward.
Effect on,
Does it have an effect?
yeah, on the application, like are they the ones to screen it, are they?
Yeah,
in touch
so
with the-
I'm not saying, it's not like a guarantee in if it's not like they're gonna help you get in or anything, but you want to be on their radar because they are the ones that are familiar with your school, your high school. They're familiar, remember, they are evaluating you in the context of your life, of what's available to you. Like some kids, if they have to go back to that other example, if they have to take care of their grandmother every single day and both of their parents work, or they take care of younger siblings and they didn't do any extracurriculars, but it's explained and then you know why. Or if you go to a school, I think I mentioned this earlier before you came in. If you have only taken 2 AP classes, but your school offers 16 AP classes, that's different than if you go to a high school that only offers 2 AP classes. So they're looking at you and evaluating you in the context of your life, what's available to you, in the context of your school and your classmates and what's offered at your school. Did I answer
I
your
think the
question?
question is, do they weigh in on the decision?
So the reps are familiar with the school and familiar with the students at that school and what the culture is. So they are the ones advocating for that group of students, for those particular students. So if 15 kids at your school are applying to let's say Ohio State University, and of those 15 kids, if you're one of the 3 or 4 who really stood out to the rep and who connected with them and showed interest, demonstrated interest is exactly what it says it is. It's demonstrating your interest. Some schools actually track demonstrated interest. And why do they do this? I'll tell you. There's something called yield. Okay, does everyone know what US News and World Report are? No? It's like it's like very yeah, it ranks the schools. And that's only one example, but schools get ranked, right? Everybody wants to be popular. Think about it. If you had an invitation, I'm talking to the girls again. If you had 5 invitations, your parents said, oh, it's your 316, or you can invite 5 kids to the city for your birthday. We're gonna take limo into the city, 5 kids. Would you invite 5 kids who you think would want to come? Would you invite kids who you think would say no? Right. And it's the same with colleges. There's something called yield. Yield is the percentage of people who are accepted, who actually say yes to them, who enroll and go to that school. So you're inviting people to a party, you want them to say yes to your invitation, right? The colleges, they want to invite kids to their university. They think are going to say yes, because it makes them look more popular. They don't want to give out all these invitations and everyone says no, 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 no. That doesn't look good for them. So they track and they have a way of looking to see if you open their emails, if you registered in their admissions offices when you visited. Don't just go visit a friend on campus. Make sure you go by the admissions office, make sure you sign in, introduce yourself. All of these little things, they make a difference. And this is only, it's 1 year. A year from now, you will be getting your acceptance letters 1 year from now. So you literally have 1 year to focus on this. And right now you just want to do research, show interest, and figure out what you're interested in. When's the right time to visit and how many schools? Everyone feels differently about this. I'll just say that I don't think that you have to visit every school that you're applying to. I don't think it's, you have to be flying all over the country, especially, in the early stages. But if your child has never stepped foot on a campus, I think it's really important. Just go to LIU, go to Adelphi. I was at Hofstra the other day walking around. It's actually beautiful inside. I didn't even know that. One of my colleagues was visiting from California and she said, "Oh, I'm going to see Hofstra and LIU and this and that." And she said, "Do you want to come?" Well, I've seen all those already. But then I was, you know what? I've been to LIU 5 times this year, but I haven't taken a formal tour. I'll come and I'll meet with admissions. Let me tell you, I was so pleasantly surprised in how many times I passed Hofstra, and it is so beautiful inside and they have so much to offer. But you don't know until you're there. And a lot of kids have never ever stepped foot on campus. They don't know what college is. And so they have this idea, like your parents are extracurriculars and GPA and get good grades and do all this stuff. And it's all for this college, which is like an idea in the clouds that they can't even picture. And I always tell this story that when my nephew, who's about 6 years older than my son, when he was in sleepaway camp, he loved sleepaway camp so much. And I said to my son, would you like to go to sleepaway camp like Ian? And he said, "Sounds boring. All you do there is sleep." And, and I always use that as an analogy for college, because we take for granted that our kids know what it even is. I think that once they stand on a campus and they see what it is and they feel it, it's also very motivating. My children are 4 years apart. So we moved my son into college in the last week in August. It was literally the week before my daughter started high school. She was like an okay student in middle school. She was an athlete. She played ice hockey, she skateboarded, she did all these great things. When she was on that campus, something transformed, and she saw all those kids moving in. She became a student. I really feel that it was a light bulb. I actually felt like I saw the light bulb go off in her head when she saw everybody moving in. She, "Oh, I want to do that. I want to do this. I want this to be me." And he had gotten to a very competitive school, and I said, "Well, you better step it up a little," and she did. So I think it's important to not just have this idea in your head, but to actually see a big campus, a small campus, just as a starting point. We talked about all of these things about standing out. Paying for college, that I have to be honest, I really can't help you with that. I refer someone out.
Yes, she works
I
with
refer
someone
someone
that does
out. I think I told you earlier that I had a math tutor in high school, and yeah. money and numbers is not my thing, but I have a wonderful recommendation. But you should, the reason I put up the slide is because you should just be familiar with the terms FAFSA. FAFSA stands for Federal Application for Financial Aid. CSS profile is another form that some schools require that is a little bit more detailed. And that's one of the resources, finaid.org. It has a lot of great information on it. I also have a handout here. I think I gave you the one about paying for college, right? Yeah, okay.
Can you talk about scholarships?
So scholarships, I will say that there are essay scholarships and non-essay scholarships. I think the scholarships that require essays, I think probably have a better shot at, because when there's no essay, more people are applying for them. I also have, I help kids with the essays for the scholarship, but I don't work on scholarships with kids. I just encourage kids to, first of all, apply for as many scholarships as possible. The financial aid advisor usually has, a good handle on that. But in addition to that, your high school has local scholarships. And it's $500 here, maybe $1,000 there. It could be Bagel Boss sponsored it. There are all different small scholarships, and there are essays for a lot of them, but a lot of kids don't know about it, or they don't bother applying for it. And it's cash that somebody set aside for kids in your high school. So definitely look at the local scholarships. Do
So
not
there's
discount them.
like academic merit scholarships?
Oh, merit scholarships, yes. So merit scholarships, it depends on the school. But merit scholarships, so basically you're gonna have to, if you apply to a school and they really want you, they're going to try to get you to come there, so they're gonna offer you merit money. But not every school does that. Not every school offers merit money, and the more competitive the school.
So it's not based on your grades?
No, merit meaning you're getting it. Yeah, you have to have good grade, and also there are scholarships for
Like
PSAT
athletics.
scores, there are for athletics, there are all different kinds of scholarships. But it's usually because they want you to come there, so I don't want to speak too much about it, I don't know that much about it. I usually speak to admissions directly about it when I have a student who's very interested, if I know that they are going to have, they're not only gonna be able to go there if they get merit, then, we research it by the school. Like, for example, I know University of Delaware has a certain threshold. Anyone who has over a certain GPA, they will get offered some merit. I know that LIU, they will give, if you have a 3.0 or above, you're going to get merit from that school.
While we're on the topic of scholarship, I partnered with someone who actually allows to have an essay and you get a mentorship scholarship. So if you're interested, if your kids are interested, I can definitely help
What
you
is
with
it,
the
a
application.
mentorship scholarship?
Mentorship, it's a Jewish organization. You know how sometimes kids want to be doctors, but they don't know what it means. So that mentorship is throughout your high school career. You file an application, and if you're selected, you get funded for that year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever they grant you, with
Oh, that's what
mentorship,
you were
with
telling me,
tutoring.
yeah.
That's what I was telling you. I just partnered with them.
Is it too
And-
late to do that?
It is never too late. There is something that, and I can put you up in contact if you're interested with the person that does this. It's basically storytelling, right? If you know how to write, and you said that writing is storytelling. If you know how to write your story, you'll be selected. And there's no cost for that particular scholarship. It is something that you can write. I'll introduce you to that. And if any of the viewers are interested to do that, also, please reach out and I'll pair
Yeah,
you
you
up with
had
that
told me, I
scholarship.
want to learn more about that. It
Yes.
sounds like a wonderful
It's
program.
JPA, it's a Jewish organization that does this specifically for Jewish kids, but I'm sure if there's someone else that is interested in that, there is a way to go around it and have that application and that scholarship and mentorship, even in my center. That group, that scholarship company can sponsor a tutoring organization for your tutoring, for your essays. We talked
Mhm.
about this.
For any
For
programs?
anything that allows you to be in mentorship for what you want to do.
So is it too late to like get into like extracurricular?
No,
it's never too
no,
late.
it's never too late. No,
It's never too late. You
No.
obviously can do a lot more when you start early.
yeah,
But if you start later and you dedicate your summer for something very unique and you do certain things, even in a short time frame, you can make such a
you
big
can,
impact.
it does, it makes such a big
Yeah,
difference. You
it
can
does.
start right now. I mean, they are mostly interested in the most recent, so very rarely do kids write their supplements, their college specific essays about things from ninth grade. I try to encourage them to just focus on from 10th on, because kids change so much. Like, don't you
Exactly.
feel like you were so different than you were when you were in ninth grade, right?
Mhm.
Like when you look at the ninth graders now, can you believe that they look so little, right?
I think there's a big transition when you are just a beginner in a high school. And as you see your friends and your classmates and your older seniors
Yeah.
doing certain things, you kind of grow into this. So doing something in ninth grade will be completely different doing it at 11th grade. And you also have different interests and different, different paths that you want. In ninth grade, you want to be one person. In 11th grade, you realize that you want something completely different.
I mean, all of high school is really like a transformation. And the admissions officers, they just want to know, they just want to get to know you. They just want to know about you.
Yeah.
And they're really, what I've learned so much, what I've learned more than anything in the last 4 or 5 years is that the admissions committees, they care about kids equal as much as I do and my colleagues do. It's not like they're on the other side and they're, they care so very much, and they really they're just regular people, educators. They want to know about you. And you have to give them context. So one of them was telling me how, this kid wrote on his activities list on the Common App that he was in the Harry Potter Club, and that he did it, to put the hours per week that you do it and per grade. And he had done it for 3 years of high school and 15 hours a week. And this was a competitive school. It was University of Chicago, and the admissions officer said, What's up with that? He dresses up in Harry Potter clothes." He said, "But then when I looked, he didn't have in the description, he didn't explain what it was. But then in one of his supplemental essays, he wrote about it. And the Harry Potter Club was going from one children's cancer hospital to another across the whole country, dressing up in Harry Potter and all different types. So that's very different than being in the Harry Potter Club, right? So it's also the way that you tell your story, and and giving them context, because otherwise they just don't know. So here's 10th grade timeline. I think you guys are kind of past that. Oh, that's mine, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's mine.
Yeah.
We're almost done. A lot of these things we've talked about. I'll go to the 11th grade timeline. And these are, again, just general. Right. 11th grade, okay. So, really looking for leadership roles, not just extracurriculars, but extracurriculars that relate to your interests, and opportunities for you to bring your peers into it. So they want to know that you are the kind of kid who's going to positively influence others, right? Looks exactly how the same. Yeah, okay. They're the same things. And just really engaging in your community and doing things that are different from what other people are doing, that maybe a little bit outside your comfort zone. And it's not too late to start. It's absolutely not. Are you involved in any extracurricular?
I mean, I did something last year, but because my AP classes, I didn't have really time. So I had to stop it.
Yeah, it's hard to balance everything. But you can also, come up with your own, and that's something I can help you with. You're interested.
And I also think summer is a great time, like it doesn't have to be throughout the year, it could be something you dedicate your summer to. So don't overstress yourself if school grades are definitely important, we're not saying that grades are not important. So focus on that.
Yeah, it's hard to balance everything. It is, and the grades are important, but, you know, it's only one piece. And the other stuff is important as well.
Yeah.
So here are just a couple of books that I recommend. Where You Go Is Not Who You'll Be. And that, that is so true. And I had put that quote earlier on. It's really what you do while you're there is much more important. And then Jeffrey Salingo's Who Gets In and Why is great. He spent a year in different college admissions offices and really on the inside, and he explains exactly what goes on the inside. It's really interesting. Yeah.
I'd love to see.
And then these are just some websites that might help you. My personal favorites. I love College Bound Kid. It just happens to have the same name as my company, College Bound, but we're not related at all. But I like that podcast a lot, College Bound Kid. College Express has some really cool lists. Like it has 700 or 800 different lists. You could put things in like, best schools for ultimate frisbee, or like best schools for tap dancers, just all different things. You can put it in by top schools with, in the Northeast with the best rated food. It's just all these fun lists. Have any of you heard of Thrown and Flown? No, moms will love that. It's on Facebook. It's an incredible group. They just have all kinds of webinars, and it's not just about college, but there is a lot of college stuff in it, but it's really about raising kids. And they have a lot of great college seminars on there. As I mentioned before, any school that you want to research, or you want to go to any school's website, just whatever the college name is, .edu, and you get right to the school. And then commonapp.org, that's where the Common App is, and there's a lot of great information there. And Big Future is part of College Board. College Board runs the ACT and the SAT. Big Future they have rolled this out a while back. It has all kinds of incredible free information and resources. And this is just scratching the surface tonight. So
Yeah. But I think it's very informative and very important, at least to get yourself started.
Yeah, hope I didn't overwhelm you too much, but yeah, but oh yeah, that's my information. But if you put your, emails and your phone numbers and everything, I will reach out to you. I can send you list of resources. And follow me on Instagram. It was up there. It's at College Bound Future. I post all the time. So yeah,
Yes.
thank you so much for.
You can stop the share just so I can say goodbye.
Oh,
Just a second. So if you like what you see and you wanted more information, reach out to both of us. Allison can accommodate if she needs to come here, because I know you guys are local. She also does a lot of virtual things. If you just stop the share, yeah. She also does a lot of virtual stuff, so if it's too difficult for you to travel, then virtual is always an option. And the same for me. I know you all local, so it's not that hard, but if you need to do virtual, definitely doable. My Regents prep starting in 2 weeks. So as we said, exams are still important. They may not be the most important thing, but they definitely are. The summer can be dedicated for the SAT, if that's where I think your daughter was talking about.
Cause I heard people say this SAT and ACT, like there's not really a difference, but is there like actually?
Right, so I'm actually happy that you're mentioning it, because it really depends on the college, and I think it doesn't make a lot of difference.
it doesn't.
Right, it doesn't make a lot of
Depends on the
difference.
kid, I think.
And yes, it does depend on the kid, and it's a little bit different. The ACT includes a little portion of science, but if you really think about it, the SAT also includes portion of science in a form of a passage. So it's a little bit
I
different.
think it's optional now on the ACT, just starting this year.
Maybe,
Science,
maybe
yeah.
they always change
But
things.
They're constantly,
They're
the
always
SAT and
changing.
the
The
ACT are
SAT
always
was
in competition with each other. Yeah.
ACT is a little bit easier on the math. SAT is a little bit more reading and
That's true.
like, it all depends, and every child is learning differently, every child knows differently. So if you're a good math taker, SAT might be great for you. But you know, it really
I
depends.
didn't even know that that was an option. I think I took both when I was in high school.
I took both
So
also.
right now, it really doesn't matter,
Yeah.
and I know COVID,
It's like, this is what you take and.
Yeah.
I'm actually happy we're talking about SAT because I think we skipped it. People have this misconception that since COVID, colleges don't care about SAT.
Oh, they're starting to care about it
So,
again.
yeah, and this is the example I always give my students when they debate whether they should take it or not. I always say, just imagine you're going to a college admission and there are two applications on the table. One is, they're both exactly identical. They have the same GPA, they have the same curricular activity, they have the same exact grades. One took the SAT, the other didn't. Who do you think they're gonna take? Just because you've invested a little bit more, then you're probably better. It doesn't mean you are, and it doesn't mean that the SAT has to be 1600. It might just be a 900 on the SAT, but which is really, really low, and I'm just giving you that example just to kind of show, right? Don't aim for that, obviously, but I'm just saying, if you have that, but you have everything else the same as the other kid, then you'll be selected. So don't really agree with the fact that, no, you don't need a SAT. Yes, you do. Maybe it's not mandatory, and some colleges do say it's not mandatory. Some colleges lowered their SAT score requirements. Still needed. Still very much needed.
Another
My
question.
friend, she went to college without submitting it, so.
Yeah.
Well, that
No,
was,
No, it has, the last few years,
Yes.
it has been that way.
Correct.
The trend is, it's going back up and.
and the last few years were like that because kids that were back then in 10th grade, it was still lockdown, still COVID, they didn't have that option of taking that test, right? And also the 10th, the 11th, the 12th grade following the COVID time didn't have as great of a foundation because there were no Regents exams. So how do they know that you actually are ready for that SAT, and how can they scale you in terms of the same scales they had? So yes, there was a slight decline, but now it's picking up everything is back. Regents exams are back. I'm not sure if it's staying. I've heard some things that maybe next year they're taking it down and there will be no Regents, but I'm not sure.
Who knows,
So,
it could happen tonight.
right, so
You never
it's
know what
really-
you're gonna read the next morning, it's like everything.
But what you should
everything's
do
changing so
is-
quickly.
don't take that easy way out. Like, even if there's an option of not taking it,
I guarantee, if whatever is out, whatever's in, there's always gonna be something, there's always gonna be something that's the standard. They need, when they have this amount of applications, and just in general, they need one standard thing to be able to measure to.
So my question
Exactly.
was also on the regions, is that standard across the nation or is that just certain states? Cause I heard that some states don't require a regents diploma.
correct,
Oh, yeah, that's in New York State.
correct.
That's
It's
in New York State.
Yeah.
It's not only New York State, there are certain
Yeah.
states that have Regents. For example, Florida doesn't have Regents exams. So their colleges don't really require a Regents diploma, but
But they
instead,
know that you're coming from a New York school.
exactly. So they
So,
know that this is what
Yeah,
you're
if you don't have a
supposed,
Regents diploma and you're coming from a school in New York,
again, standards, right?
Yeah.
We're weighing
that's
in.
a, you know, then they know that
That's a flat.
That's yes, yes. And I'm not talking about some schools. I know there's certain schools, Catholic schools in this neighborhood, they
Yeah,
don't
they
give.
don't do,
They
yeah.
don't give a Regents exam. So yes, if you are coming from a school where there isn't that
Yeah,
option,
even I think at Solomon Schechter, I taught at Solomon Schechter and they didn't do it. Regents
I don't know,
exam.
but I have a
But
few
private
students in
schools are
Catholic
different, yeah.
schools. My daughter's in private school, they do have Regents. So it really, really depends. Every school is different, but again, you don't want to take that easy way out. If there's an
Right,
option
right,
for
right.
you not to
Every
take it.
school is different also. I think some of the schools, they use, like, teachers are able to use the Regents grade as the final.
Yes, and that's what I
And
said
so
at
it
the
affects
beginning
your
of today.
grade, yeah.
That's what I said at the beginning of today. Don't just wait for the Regents and say, you
Yeah.
know, it is part of your grade. So throughout the year, you should stay at a good pace. And the difference between taking the grade throughout the year and the Regents exams, and this is why I do this prep, is because during the school year, you do units. You're tested on units.
Right.
You took the unit, you passed the exam on that unit is on your back burner. So when it's time for you to do the test, the final Regents exam, which includes everything and it's scattered all over the test, nobody tells you this is unit 1 and this is unit 6. So that lack of practice is really what can set you back with a lower score. Not because your units individually were low. You can get hundreds in every single unit. But when it comes down to a whole test that now incorporates things that you've done 7 months ago, and you probably don't even remember it now. Some teachers actually do spiral review, as I saw, like every test has a couple of questions from before, but still, having that cumulative comprehensive course is definitely shaping up your exam to get a much better grade than you would do normally. And I know some schools just do a Regents prep at the end of the year and some extra sessions that they do, but what they do is they actually just give you a booklet of tests, and all you're doing is you're studying tests. But studying of tests is not studying material. Don't forget that everything you learn, you need for the SAT, you need for the foundation of your college. So if you're studying the test, you're not studying the material. And again, when it's time for you to use that material, whether it's 9th grade learning algebra and then you need algebra 2, but you didn't know algebra because all you were studying is through practicing questions and learning how to answer them, you're lacking the foundation. So between today and your exam in June, this is the perfect time to start. Because you have the long term as opposed to just short term cramming. And cramming is never good because it's out your brain as soon as you're done with the test. So help your kids to really do better with a comprehensive as much as possible to review everything from the beginning of the year. And not waiting for last minute. You guys have any questions?
No more questions?
No more questions? All right, well,
Is middle school too soon to start
It is.
for prepping?
For 8th grade, in 8th grade?
Well, she's going into 9th.
I don't see kids
She's
for college,
targeting,
for
she's
college
targeting
stuff,
Ivy
but
League, right? So
she's
would it be smart
I think that if
to
you
have a
want,
plan?
yes, if you wanna meet and plan.
Yeah.
And you wanna meet with me and you want your child to meet with me, that is, but I don't typically
Yeah.
take people and work regularly, and
Makes
anyone who says that to you, that, you know, because it's not necessary, but I think that planning and having,
Yeah,
you know,
what you should do.
and having a few meetings, you know, spread out, there's nothing wrong.
But like what we just said, between 8 and 9 and 10th grade, they do change.
Sure.
Yeah. They mature,
Yeah,
they
you're not
grow, they
starting the
understand.
process in 8th grade, but
Right.
if you're saying it sounds like your daughter is very mature and very interested in being a little bit of a step ahead, so by all means.
You can call her an overachiever. It's okay.
Overachiever. I love this.
What's her name?
You can call her an
Overachiever.
Overachiever. She is.
Good,
That's
good, that's
okay.
great. It's
Nothing wrong
amazing,
with
and
that.
maybe she can graduate in the 11th grade, which is
She'll
also,
probably-
You know
Yeah.
what, I have a couple of kids who've done that,
my son
Um,
graduated in 11th grade, it's
yeah.
totally doable.
yeah. I have a student right now who actually finished a year early, he just didn't want to be in high school, he was just beyond it, you know, intellectually and
She is.
I'm
emotionally.
convincing Leora to, she doesn't want to, she doesn't want to graduate early, she wants the experience of a high school.
Am I still on?
Yes,
Live?
but I can stop the streaming. Guys, if you have any questions, yes, if you have any questions, please feel free to comment. I will post this link as well, because I'm not sure how long it would be on Facebook, but I will post that with a link. Feel free to reach out to us, and thank you so much for joining.